Your attention, please. No, this is not a gavel. It is a time-tested survival food known as hardtack. And today, I am going to show you how to make it by combining flour, salt, and water into a dough, cutting the dough into pieces, and poking holes in those pieces and baking it. But first, what is hardtack? Hardtack is a type of cracker that has been a staple for soldiers, settlers, and explorers throughout history. It's valued for its nutritional value, durability, long shelf life, and the fact that it's incredibly cheap and easy to make. I learned about hardtack while taking a Civil War class. I even visited the Perryville battlefield in Kentucky and learned that before refrigeration and canning, hardtack was the original MRE, or meals ready to eat, in the military. It can be stored for years, even decades. To make hardtack, you'll need just a few basic ingredients. Firstly, 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Secondly, you'll need half a cup to 3/4 cup of water. Next, and this part's optional, 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, you'll also need a few basic kitchen tools. Firstly, a mixing bowl, a rolling pin, a knife or a pizza cutter. I'm choosing to use a pizza cutter, a baking sheet, tongs, a fork or a toothpick. I'm choosing to use a fork. And finally, an oven. You can start the process by preheating the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Step 1 is making the dough. In the mixing bowl, combine the flour and salt. So I'm going to do that right now. When I'm adding the salt, fun fact, this cup was from my great-grandmother, who was alive during the 19th century, so not that far off of when hardtack was actually being made. I'm going to mix the flour and salt with the fork so that they can get situated and whatnot. And here comes the fun part. So you need to take your water and you need to gradually pour it in while stirring. But before you do that, roll up your sleeves. This is going to get a little bit dirty. So gradually pour the water in while you mix it in with your hand. You just want to mix it in. I'm going to have to use both my hands now. You want to do this until the doughy substance is kind of reminiscent of Play-Doh. And then eventually you should have something that looks something like this. Step 2 is rolling out the dough. Firstly, you'll need to flour your work surface to prevent sticking. There we go. And then slap your dough onto the flour. Do this a couple of times until you feel like it's good enough for you to start the rolling process. So let's just do this one more time, and then we can start rolling. Now we need to roll the dough to approximately 1/2 inch thickness. So again, it's thin but not paper thin. Step 3 is cutting the hardtack. Use a knife or a pizza cutter in this instance to cut the dough into small squares or rectangles. It's okay if you have some extra laying over. You can use them for later. Traditionally, hardtack was made around 3 by 3 inches, but you can make them any size you prefer. Now, next up is step 4, which is poking holes in the dough. This is a key step in the process because it helps make the hardtack last a long time by removing any moisture. So what you need to do is you need to make sure to poke holes in the hardtack with your fork or toothpick or whatever you're using. It could be as crude or as simplistic or as neat as you'd want. As long as those holes are in there, you'll be fine. Next up is step 5, the baking. So you'll need to place all of your hardtack parts onto the baking sheet. We're going to put this in the preheated oven for 30 minutes. Make sure not to burn yourself or else you'll get burned. After about 30 minutes, you want to take your hardtack out and you want to flip them over with your tongs very carefully so that you don't burn yourself. Now this is to make sure that this will make your hardtack last for months or even years because of the drying process. After another 30 minutes of baking, it's time to take the hardtack out. What you'll need to do is you'll need to allow your hardtack to cool completely. As it cools, it will become crisp and hard, which is exactly what you want. Once cooled, store the hardtack in an airtight container. It can last for an incredibly long time if kept dry. Now, when it comes to actually eating the hardtack, there are several methods. The first and most straightforward reason is just simply bite into it. Though be wary, as hardtacks are nicknamed jawbreakers for a reason. Another method is to put it in something like a sandwich bag and mash it with your hand. So that it might become a bit more digestible. And there you have it. A simple demonstration of how to make hardtack. A historic and practical survival food. Whether you're preparing for a camping trip, a historical reenactment, or you simply want to learn a new skill, making hardtack is a great way to connect with the past and gain a deeper appreciation for your ancestors. So, next time you need a long-lasting, durable food source for your adventures or just a unique conversation starter, just remember how easy it is to make hardtack. Enjoy your homemade hardtack and happy exploring! Thank you for your attention.